21st of December, nearly 1 o'clock in the morning. Um, Yesterday was a bit of a difficult day. The matters occurring have become very apparent in their effects that it's having on other people as well as myself. As I've said, I can only speak so much and so openly about certain aspects of all of this vendetta. I find it very disturbing in society. I was trained by the fellowship, you know, sanity and sobriety, defects of character, logical kind of, you know, mentality. And since 2017, and even before 2017, in 2016, if I'm really to think hard about it, my privacy was violated in 2016. That was after I gave birth and after I became married. So it's now 2019, and there's been worse wrongdoings happening, and there is this insanity being bred in society, as far as I'm concerned, that has involved very serious damage and harm. The damage and harm has involved very serious defamation of my character and my reputation, as I keep reiterating. And as for the issues that people have caused, there has been a spiritual assault perpetrated against me as a Royal Angelic Lightworker, and that's as simple as it is. That's what I am. And as a humanitarian and as a teacher, as a deserted wife, etc., etc., I have experienced a very serious spiritual assault by a community since 2017. I haven't been the only victim of this spiritual violence that's occurred in Tralee, County Kerry. There's been other victims, and there is now an issue of me being a lone woman, a deserted wife in HAPS accommodation, receiving job seekers allowance even though I'm a professional teacher, even though I've been harassed from my homes, and even though there's very serious corrupt situations being caused, as I've stated in the past, even my data on my mobile, the violations of privacy. So I'm here on my own as a lone woman, a professional woman, a victim of crime and defamation, and it just seems that there's people that don't seem to understand how to quit causing problems. There's been enough problems caused. Now, even with regard to my educational experience, I've studied at the University of Limerick and Hibernia College, and there are individuals even intruding upon my educational career. These individuals have also caused harm to my professional career as a teacher. These people have made the most outlandish claims, and they still haven't stopped. The politicians and the professionals that are facilitating this are, I'm very concerned, because as a professional and as a victim and as a sane and sensible, rational, logical individual, after what has been occurring in this town, I'm just wondering, is there any level of conscience, with regard to the damage already done? Or is it just a reckless kind of mentality to keep causing problems at any cost, without any regard for future consequences. Um, the ministers of the government that know this situation and that know exactly what has happened and know exactly how unlawful the matters that have been caused actually are. Um, how unlawful a lot of things have been about this situation. Um, the ministers of the government, I'm just wondering, do you not find it a little bit disturbing that innocence, an innocent woman, etc., 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 could just be, you know, you know, um, for not having done anything to anyone, but only for having achieved and succeeded. Is that the reason for this? Is that the reason to destroy my homes, my family life, my privacy, my family, my career? Is that what this is about? Is it just to destroy what I've worked for? Um, are the women up in Dáil Éireann even a bit conscientious of the fact that this is kind of serious for all women? Um, like with regard to having expertise, skills, talents, qualifications, family, etc. I'm just wondering, what are the women up in Dáil Éireann thinking about this kind of a situation when there's obviously other women or men that aren't so mentally healthy and that are causing a very serious violation of human rights? Um, this is an awful circumstance for me to be in tonight. Um, I'm fully aware that where I am is, I don't know my neighbours so much as they'd say, you don't know your neighbours anymore. And, when people are able to pick up the phone so easily and make such slanderous claims, as that has already happened since I gave birth and got married, I'm just wondering, have the women of Dáil Éireann any idea of what this does for all women in Ireland? Um, because people intruding in my profession and my role as a mother and parent and deserted wife, I'm just wondering, have the women that are facilitating this any, I don't know what to say to them. It's very disappointing. Um, but, with regard to the spiritual violence and the spiritual assault that I've been experiencing, I think it's very dangerous for a community that has assaulted my life body, a royal life body, a member of the fellowship, um, you know, that has helped other women that have also been raped, like I have been assaulted, um, and that has worked with young people safely, contentedly, and happily, and that doesn't have a criminal record or hasn't been involved in any incriminating behaviour, no matter how much the haters and aggressors of my human rights like to say otherwise. Because there's been a lot of stories kind of just pulled out of thin air, and there's been a lot of damage done. And I'm just wondering, with regard to the spiritual violence that I've already experienced and that other women and men have also experienced, but even so, more so with regard to my life body, that has also been involved in exploitation of gains that people have made as a consequence of stealing so much from me. Um, I'm just wondering, have they any concept of how serious this actually is? Because for a woman that has worked for what I achieved, and for people to just come along and to steal what doesn't belong to them and to damage what doesn't belong to them and to say what they want and to do what they want, I don't know what kind of a society is after coming together in this past 2 years in Tralee, County Kerry, because, you know, as an educated person, as a professional, and as a humanitarian, and as a royal life worker, um, I think I'd expect people to be treated a little bit better than how things are in this town at the moment. It doesn't surprise me because it's the same culprits that damaged my reputation with revenge porn over a decade ago. So they're getting a little bit more creative with the damage they're causing in the past 2 years or so. The violations of privacy are very serious. Um, there's been bodily integrity violations as well. So I'm wondering, are the ministers conscious of the fact of how serious it is for all women, for a mother to be experiencing what I'm experiencing? Because as a mother and as a deserted wife whose legal rights are being disrespected also, as I live in HAPS accommodation when I should be happily, uh, you know, but people have caused awful, very serious problems. So the ministers of the government, you might think this is insignificant, and you might just think it's, disregarded easily, and you might think, easily disposed of. But for a woman that has worked for what I achieved, and as a mother and as a wife, deserted as much as I am, in a community perpetrating hate crime, um, I'm just wondering, have the women of Dáil Éireann any idea what this does for society? Because it's a very unnatural situation, and as a woman that has worked in, you know, agricultural settings as well as educational settings, and that has, facilitated workshops for the environment, and that has worked as a humanitarian for climate change and whatnot. Um, I'm just wondering, with this kind of an unnatural situation, um, you know, societal engineering is what appears to be happening, but unfortunately, the issue of climate change is a little bit more serious than veganism or animal rights. So, as regards women's rights and human rights and children's rights, um, I think people would want to try a little bit better than just, fobbing this off with a few falsehoods, because the falsehoods already relayed are already very serious and have caused very serious damage. And I'm surprised that professionals haven't realised that since when these problems were first caused with these constitutional wrongdoings occurring, I'm surprised that since they haven't realised how much more serious things will be for any further violations of my constitutional rights. Because, as I keep saying, there's been information withheld from me, there's been individuals intruding and defaming and causing very serious damage. So I'm just wondering, when are the women of Dáil Éireann going to sit up and think very seriously about all of this? Because, for a woman that's worked for what I achieved, um, and as a mother and as a wife whose legal rights are being totally disrespected at a local level by a farcical situation, is absolutely scandalous. So I'm just wondering, if it was any woman up in Dublin that had worked her way into Dáil Éireann, and if this had been done to her and her career ruined and her family ruined and her earnings ruined, I'm wondering what would be happening. Would it be a different circumstance if it was one of their daughters that, you know, was being victimized and had their family life ruined and their career? So, for the feminists, or for the women in society, and for the gentlemen that have respect for women, that have worked for what they got and didn't have to, you know. So just because of someone's hatred and malice, um, I think, you need better reasons to be messing up a woman's life, especially when it involves family. So, for the women that are causing this disturbing situation, and I know exactly who the individuals are, um, I'm just hoping that some logic will prevail, because I don't appreciate being in HAPS after being harassed from two houses with the assaults that have been happening. And I don't appreciate being on job seekers allowance when I should be working as a qualified teacher, which was my chosen profession. And I don't appreciate a lot of other things that are happening. But that's how disturbing this situation is when people decide to perpetrate hate crime. So, for the women up in Dáil and for women, whoever, wherever, that might be watching this, I'm wondering, how would you like if there was an imposter in your life? How would you like if your privacy was being violated? And how would you like if everything you'd worked for had been ruined? How would you like if your body had been disrespected and if you had experienced medical negligence? How would you like if your mental capacities were being, let's say, questioned and disrespected? So the people scrutinizing me and criticizing me and defaming me and stealing from me and exploiting me and withholding information from me, I hope that after what's already happened with the spiritual violence that has occurred, that everyone understands how serious a situation this is